I guess we can go ahead and get started. It'll probably be a lot quicker of a training today. We're talking about managing your virtual assistant's daily tasks. So it probably won't take too long unless you have a bunch of questions, and feel free to ask as we go along.
All
So
right.
I'm gonna go ahead and just share my screen with you. So let me get that pulled up. Let's see, share screen.
You won't mind if I eat my lunch like
Yeah,
at you,
go
right?
for it.
All
Go for
right.
it.
Multitasking here.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Are you able to see my screen, the virtual assistant tasks?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we'll just start kind of from the beginning. I know that we've shared a lot of this before as far as the virtual assistants and like what you can have them do. So I kind of went over this, I think, a couple of weeks ago, as far as one of the first things that people do when they start hiring a virtual assistant is like, I really want someone to take over a bunch of stuff for my company because I don't want to do it all, but what should I have them do? So that's like the main question, is like where to have them start. So this is really going to depend on like, what you want to take off your plate. Some investors don't want to make calls, some don't like filling out paperwork. Eventually you can have a virtual assistant do everything, but if you're just starting out and you have one, you really want to just give them one or two things at a time and let them master that before you start adding other things on their plate. That just builds a good foundation, and so they can really learn what they're doing rather than be overwhelmed with a bunch of different tasks. So that's what we usually suggest doing in the beginning. And here's a list of examples. My virtual assistant actually gave me a whole list of what she does, so I can go through that too. But basically, checking incoming like communication. So this can be like a company email. If you have social media accounts, that's a really good thing that a virtual assistant could take over. And then they could just direct it to the right person in the company. So they could be kind of the middleman to make sure people are getting responded to follow up, and that sort of thing. And then maintain vacancy lists. So if you have a lot of rental properties, they can stay on top of that. Also posting any ads. So we always have a virtual assistant posting rental ads or sales ads or ghost ads to find buyers. Anything you want to post, like social media, Craigslist, Zillow, that's a perfect thing for a virtual assistant to take over. And then adding new seller leads. So in your Podio, they can actually go and do all of the free searches for like seller leads. So Craigslist, Zillow, Facebook Marketplace, and find potential seller leads and enter those into your Podio. And then they can also fill out the full Podio lead sheet from there. We have our virtual assistant make all the MLS offers. They'll create campaigns based on what we want to do. So if we want to start a new direct mail campaign, they know how to go into Podio and set everything up. We actually have a virtual assistant that can turn on and off utilities. So when we buy or sell houses, you can pretty much train a virtual assistant to do anything. So the biggest thing we tell investors to do is to write down the top 3 things that you want to hand off. And then from there, you would take our process, or if you have your own process, and make sure that they understand and learn those top 3 things and master those before you move on to the next 3 things, if that makes sense. Okay, and then here's just a quick list of Daisy, my virtual assistant. She went ahead and emailed, this is everything she does on a daily basis. So you can see here, she does quite a bit. And, as we give her new tasks, she'll just add another line item there and enter that in. So she can come back to her sheet daily and just see everything that she has to do for that day. So you can always ask your virtual assistant to start their own like task list, and anything daily or even monthly they can put down here, and then they can just refer back to that to make sure they're not missing anything. So any questions on that so far as what to have your virtual assistant do?
You actually have your virtual assistant making MLS offers?
Yeah, actually that's one of the easiest things that they can do. They do work with a realtor. So they're not the ones that are in the MLS like, putting in the offer sheets to the listing agent. We have a realtor that does that. So our virtual assistant will just go through, they have the realtor send like a big batch of listings, let's say like 200 listings. And what the virtual assistant does, they'll go through each listing. They'll look at the motivating factors, so all the descriptive boxes, anything you would look at to decide if it's a property that you want to pursue. So pictures, description, if it's price reduced, things like that. So they look at all of that information, say, hey, this is a property that we want to offer on. And then they use just a spreadsheet, put in like the MLS number, the property address, and the offer amount. And that offer amount is actually going to be based on just a multiplier. So I know that we kind of went through that too in the past, but all it is we start at like 70% of the listing price. And that makes it really easy when you're submitting 100 offers at a time, that it's a formula already created in a spreadsheet. So they just enter in the listing price, and that formula auto calculates that offer at, let's say, 70% of that listing price. If you drag and drop that all the way down, all she has to do is put in the MLS number, the property address, and the listing price. The offer is auto calculated for her. So once she goes through and just does all of that for, let's say, the 100 offers, she will then copy and paste that information, not the listing price, just the MLS number, property address, and offer amount, and send that to your realtor that you work with, and they will be the ones that then submits it to the listing agent. So the virtual assistant just does all of that time-consuming like middleman work to get those offers over to the realtor.
Okay.
And then any other questions or things that you want your virtual assistant to do that you're not really sure about, if they could, or? Nope, all good on that. Hi, Samuel.
Had to get off of mute there. How you doing?
Hi, good. How are you?
Awesome. I took the day off today just to try to find out what I'm doing here.
Okay, awesome. Well, this is a good one, especially if you're looking to hire a virtual assistant or maybe think you will in the future. And you can always go back. I don't know how much you've seen so far. All we've talked about really is what you can have your virtual assistant do, which is pretty much everything. Anything you can have an in-office employee do for you, you can always hire a virtual assistant. Finding the right one can be tricky sometimes, but as long as you do, they are rock stars. So we have, I think it's 10 to 12. We've hired a couple of more virtual assistants on our team, and they literally do like any part of the company. We have someone even in bookkeeping doing things for us. Obviously property management, acquisitions, sales. So you can have them do whatever you want. The most important thing is not overwhelming them initially, giving them time to learn the task that you give them, and then just making sure they have that process in place so that they can learn the task. So any questions for you? Anything that you were thinking of having a virtual assistant do?
No, I'm just trying to figure out the process.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so those were just some examples of some tasks. So after you have your VA hired on and you know what you want them to do, the main point of this video today is just managing the daily tasks. So once you have your virtual assistant, especially if you have multiple, it really gets easy to kind of not forget about them, but you give them tasks, you expect them to do that, and then you're busy, right? So like you don't have a bunch of time to micromanage. You want to make sure they're trained. You want to make sure they can come to you for questions, but from there, they really need to be able to take it and run with it. But you also need to be up to speed on everything they're doing, right? So if you tell them, hey, build a buyer's list. I want 200 buyers by the end of this week. You want to be sure that they're actually working toward that and that they actually complete that task. So one of the things we do is, here's an example of a weekly report update. And so I actually started this years ago. I want to say probably 5-6 years ago for Matt. I started doing this myself, and I still do it to this day, and mostly because he doesn't even ask for it anymore. I just really like going back and being able to see what I've done and what I still need to do. It really helps me. So I love doing this now, and we have all of our virtual assistants give us a weekly report update of everything they've done. And so the actual tasks down here might change depending on what you're having your virtual assistant do. But I just have it labeled, so like direct mail, cold calling, accepted properties, if you've had any. So this is a lot for acquisitions because that's my main focus. But like if you had buyers or something different, bookkeeping, then these titles would change. But the main point remains the same, is that they would just go ahead and capture everything they've done for the week. And as you scroll down, you can actually go back and just see all their accomplishments. So here's an example of a real weekly update. And this is what it looks like when it's completed. It has everything filled in, everything that they've done. So even if you have someone doing like your acquisitions and you want to know, hey, what did we have accepted for this week? How many properties are under contract? You can just go to their weekly update and see that. So you don't have to go through and try to find out on your own. You can just have them send that to you. So weekly update is one thing. And that can be Friday or Monday. I like to send mine on Monday just because Friday, you're still working. And then usually over the weekend, if things come in, I just want to make sure that I capture that as well. So I like to do Monday morning. Some people prefer Friday. Totally up to you what you have your virtual assistant do. And then, so that's weekly. Another thing we have them do is daily updates. And that just is for, so example, Sherpa. I have my virtual assistant send a lot of Sherpa texting for our acquisitions campaigns. And so I like to know, hey, how many leads today did we get for Sherpa? How many did you push over to Podio? Just little things like that. Or for example, buyers, how many buyers did you add to the buyers list today? And that just gives you an idea every day. You know, they're coming in, they're doing their job. We usually like to have our virtual assistants clock in, if you will. There's no clock, there's no sign-in sheet, but they just say, hey, I'm here, I'm ready to start the day. Just letting you know if you need anything, I'm online. And we like that communication. And the same thing when they sign off. We like to know they're gone for the day. And moving over to our guidelines, this kind of just reiterates that. So Hazel, she's our virtual assistant as well. She does a lot of the stuff with the new virtual assistants. She hires and trains all of them. And she put this together for guidelines. So sending the start and end of day report, kind of what I just talked about. We want to know that they're here and they're available for tasks. And then no reporting means you're tagged as late or absent. So virtual assistants, especially when you have multiple virtual assistants, they're in different time zones usually, although they are usually working during your work day, which means they should be here. But sometimes if you get maybe the wrong virtual assistant, they might send you 1 or 2 emails a day, but then you're like, hey, where are you? Where did you go? Like I emailed you, 2 hours ago and I still haven't heard back. And that's happened to us before. And, sometimes it's innocent. Sometimes it's, hey, our, electricity went out here. We have a storm, totally understandable. That stuff happens. But if it's a constantly reoccurring thing, then they're probably not doing the job that you're paying them to do, which means you might need to move on to another virtual assistant. So that's why this reporting is so important, so that you can keep track. Online presence, again, we want to just make sure that they're in when they're supposed to be in, and that they let us know when they leave. We like to hire directly. So if you are hiring through Upwork, you do have an online tracker through Upwork where you can see screenshots of what they're working on. You can see when they're active and that sort of thing. When we hire direct and we pay direct, we don't really have much of a tracking system other than making sure that they reply on time. And that's good enough for me, honestly. If you have a good virtual assistant, I'm one that I don't like to micromanage, and I don't like to be micromanaged. I like to get my stuff done, but I don't need someone constantly over me. And I feel like if you give that respect to them too, you usually get much harder workers than if you're constantly on top of people, trying to get them to get their stuff done. So again, it's all about finding the right virtual assistant. Schedules and overtime. So just make it clear when you hire them what their schedule is going to be. So if you want it to be 8 to 5 during your time zone, just make sure that that's known. And then if there's any overtime, so if you have them capped at like 40 hours a week, but they need 50 hours to get all the tasks done, then they just need to let you know so you can approve that, especially if you're paying them hourly and it's not a fixed rate. And then compensation. So like I said, we like to hire direct, which means we pay directly through TransferWise. And that's the system we use for our virtual assistants. There are different systems out there, which are totally fine. But again, just it needs to be known up front when they're going to get paid. So we pay every Monday for the previous week. And so if there are any billing problems, sometimes getting that set up, so the initial payment will be a couple of days late. We just are totally transparent with them and let them know exactly when to expect that paycheck.
Hey, Amanda.
Yeah.
If you have a current virtual assistant and you want to be able to switch over to what you're just saying, like reporting comes in on Friday, you get paid on Monday. Any ideas how to kind of handle that with them? Like, is that something they could or should expect from companies on this side? Because that's kind of something I want to move over to with my virtual assistant. But
Mhm.
she's been with Ryan for like 3 years, and he's always just paid her on Friday.
Okay.
And I'm
Um,
like,
so, so it's,
I'm not always in the office on Friday, so it's hard for me to do
yeah.
that.
No, I would just say, because how do you guys pay her?
Well, currently she's getting paid through Zoom, XOOM.
Okay, so like a PayPal type service.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, you could just let her know. Just tell her payroll is now going to start taking place on Monday to make sure she sends you the invoice by Friday, and that
Okay.
it'll go out on Monday. I don't see any problem with that. I mean, I'm not saying that she'll love it, but she'll get used to it, and it's only a couple of days if she knows to expect it. Companies change
Right.
things all the time. I know. Some companies will pay every 2 weeks, and then they might change to 1 week, or vice versa. I mean, it definitely happens.
Okay. I mean, she's the first person I'm getting to like actually manage, and so okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think there should be any problem, but yeah, I would just be transparent, let her know and see what
Okay.
she says. Yeah. And then so power outages, internet issues, like I said, especially we have a lot of virtual assistants there in the Philippines. So they do have power outages and internet issues occasionally due to storms and stuff. It happens. Sometimes they can't let you know right away. But usually I've never had a problem with a virtual assistant getting a hold of me as soon as they're able to and letting me know that that was an issue. And if you have multiple virtual assistants in the same area, it could be pretty easy to know that that's the case when multiple VAs are emailing you, hey, we had a power outage, so it happens. But again, if it's a reoccurring issue, then you probably need to look at that individual. We haven't really had to do this too much with our virtual assistants. We know within the first couple of weeks if they're going to work out or not. But if you were going to have, reprimands and you wanted to keep them around, but maybe they just weren't performing as well right now, then you could start with maybe like an oral reprimand, like, hey, like I see you're not online when you're supposed to be, like talk to them and try to work it out that way and see if it does get better. You can document everything. It's not as big of a deal when you have a virtual assistant working for you. Um, let's say you had an in-office employee, you definitely want documentation, because there's a lot of different things here that would require that documentation. For example, if they wanted to file for like unemployment or wrongful termination, that sort of thing. With virtual assistants, you don't run into those things. You could literally say, hey, we don't need you anymore. Sorry, it's not working out, and then be done. I mean, we like to give ours a heads up, a couple weeks notice, that sort of thing if it's not working out. But again, you don't have to. Documentation is there just for you if you ever need to look back at it, but not as important. And then these are just optional things. So again, Hazel wrote these out. This is something that she would totally take care of with her virtual assistants because she's hiring these virtual assistants under her now. And so she would go through these steps, and then the next part would be suspension with probation if they didn't follow, the procedures that we have in place, and next would be termination. So usually we don't get there. Again, we know within a couple of weeks, and we kind of don't even have to go through this process. We'll either say, hey, it's not working out, we're letting you go. Or if we think that they could work out, maybe we'll go through a few of these steps. But that's pretty much it. So this training today, again, just managing those virtual assistants and then their tasks to make sure that they're staying on it. But do you guys have any questions regarding virtual assistants at all?
Not really virtual assistants, Amanda, but I'm really a novice at this. And my question to you, first of all, do you have any replays on your training that you're having here?
Yes, actually, Tyler
Okay.
records all of these, and so I'll have to ask him where he puts all of these trainings. But you know Tyler, right?
I do.
Okay, yes. So you could just ask him where they are, but he records every single one of these trainings, and he does post those somewhere so that you can go back and look at any of them as you.
Okay. So do you know if with your virtual assistants, if you have ever used a fixed rate?
We have on Upwork, and that would be more for like a project like per project basis. So if I had, let's say we have 400 rental properties and I needed someone to go through and put in like the taxes, they have to go to the tax website or call the treasurer's office and get those annual taxes, something like that. That's just a one-time thing. We might do a fixed price for that.
Okay.
Otherwise, we usually do hourly. And for all of our
Okay.
virtual assistants right now, we do hourly as well.
Okay. Okay, that's good, Amanda. This is, I can see, can be very helpful for me. Like I said, I'm just getting started in this. Had to take a day off to wrap my head around exactly what I'm doing here.
Yeah, no problem. Is this your very first training video?
It is. And I was getting with Tyler, and I was asking him if he could like email me the day before, and he was saying, well, Sam, it's sort of like it's going to be 1 to 5, and I have to do the day of. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to take the day off so I can catch up and see what's going on here.
Yeah, they change. And one of the reasons why is because we actually have, so all of our team members will come on and do a video. So I do a lot of acquisitions and virtual assistant type videos, and that's because that's where my like field area is. But
Okay.
that will kind of cover everything. And then we have like Tyler, he does a lot of the technical stuff. And then we have Heather and Erica and Kaylin. So we have a lot of people on our team that all do different things within the company, and they'll come on and actually teach based on their area of expertise. And so depending on who is doing it, that's why the time will change just based on that. So
Okay.
yeah, you can probably go back and see a lot of really helpful videos on there.
So Amanda, one more thing, and I'm gonna let you go.
No problem. That's what I'm here for.
Off the cuff here, it probably is not something you deal with, but do you know how it's possible that I could get someone from your office to maybe email me some contracts?
Just example templates.
Yeah, like I did in the virtual assistants for the the wholesaling
Yeah.
contracts. I sold a couple of houses to Matt, and I had the contracts, and they were filled out, and I sort of misplaced them, and I was like, you know what? I like his contract, and I think I had tried to contact and get some email before, and it didn't happen. So I said, the next time I contact somebody.
Oh yeah, just the templates for the contracts, so you can take those and fill them in and buy and sell houses based, using those contracts.
Right.
Yeah, we can get those over to you.
Okay. So will you do that, or I need to talk?
Yeah, I can get well, Tyler might have your information. Do you want to give me your email over here? Do you care?
Sure. It is qchomesource@yahoo.com.
Okay. Let me write that down really quick. Yahoo. Okay. Yeah, we can get that over to you. No problem.
Okay. I appreciate that.
All right. And did you have any other questions? It doesn't even have to be about this specific thing. You're getting started, so. Or if you want to watch the videos, if you ever have questions about any of the videos that you see, you can let us know too. Either way.
Okay. I'll go back and review.
Okay.
Amanda replies really well to emails.
Okay. Awesome. I understand that Amanda and Matt, they go way back,
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of started with him a long time ago. I met Matt, me and he, we was in the machine shop together. I seen Matt coming in making $8 an hour. Can you believe that? And here this dude is, he got away from me, through the mix and everything. And here he is, a multi-millionaire, and I'm still bumming around here trying to figure out what to do.
Oh, you'll get there. Well, that's
yeah, I'm not,
because we're in the machine shop together.
exactly.
I've always heard the story and stuff, but yeah, I've never known anybody worked with him, so.
Yeah, he's a great guy, For some reason, I keep bumping into him, so it's got to be something to it,
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, man. I think that's all I have. Thank you for everything, and hopefully I'll be get things going here.
Yep, sounds good. Well, good luck. And then Megan, did you have anything else? I see Kevin's on here too, and Crystal. Anybody have any questions for me?
For like acquisition, what type of tasks are good for VA? Like I know texting the leads and cold calling, things like that. But at what time, as far as like making offers and stuff like that, is that something that you have them do or no?
Yes, we definitely do. So the MLS officer is going to be like the easiest thing just because it's that multiplier that we talked about in the beginning where you just have a spreadsheet and they put in the listing price and the offer amount is just going to be based on that. But if you're talking about the for sale by owner, you can do the same thing. I actually make all of those offers myself, but we could totally have a virtual assistant do it. It would just, you kind of have to develop a little system. So, hey, like if they're asking this much, look at the pictures, find out what you think rehab's going to be, you know, the Zestimate
Okay.
for therapy.
Okay.
So you can, you just have to train them. So they can do anything that like an in-office employee or that you could do
Right.
as long as they
Right.
have those tools to do it. So
Okay.
they
Okay. So I can kind of create a system for them and kind of see how that works.
Oh yeah, yeah, you can have them do anything you want them to do. I would just start slow. So if it is going to be something that they have to learn and you want them to only focus on that for a minute, make sure that they're tagging you before they actually give you the offer. I say tagging because we use Podio. So if you don't use Podio, just make sure they get with you on those offers first. And then after, that's what actually Matt used to make all of our offers. And he was like, hey, Amanda, you go ahead and make offers. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I can make offers. You know, I think
Okay.
everyone kind of feels that way. But after the first maybe 10 or 20, you know, and he's like, hey, that's pretty good. That's like what I would have offered. Now I'm totally comfortable doing that. So there is a little transition period. Just make sure that you work closely with them in the beginning. And then once you feel comfortable with the offers they're making, you can let them run with it.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, I would like to ask, with regards to the virtual assistants, like I have one in the Philippines. How do you set them up with the phone system to be able to receive calls and also make calls here in the States?
So what you can do and what we've done in the past is Google Voice does work. You would just have to set it up on your end and it'd have to be connected to a phone here. So I've used like my personal cell phone number just to connect it, but then I will forward it to like, you know, voicemail or email. So my phone won't ring. It's just set up that Google Voice number is connected to my phone. And we actually have a whole training on that as well to set up the Google Voice. And the only downside is it's one per phone. So like if you're setting up multiple, you'll have to have, you know, multiple landlines or cell phones here in the States to be able to set that up. Kind of I guess a caveat, you could use CallRail as a soft phone. And we have a how-to for that as well. But, you know, there is a little bit of a cost to that. So if you can do Google Voice, I would stick with that just because it's free. And then if you like move on to having multiple virtual assistants, then I would probably look at like those systems such as CallRail so that you can have multiple virtual assistants on that.
Okay.
So Amanda, what is that? Podo?
Yeah, Podio.
Yes. Is that, is it a fee for that or?
There is, and I can actually have, because I'm going to get with Tyler on where those videos are for you too. And if
Okay.
you want him to email you the information on Podio, he actually sets up Podio accounts for a lot of the students. And he can get with you like on price and stuff. And if it's something you're interested in, maybe he could go ahead and set you up with it. If you're doing a lot of deals or plan to do a lot of deals, it is a really good CRM to track like the incoming leads and offers and contracts. So I would suggest it. But yeah, it's totally up to you. So I can have Tyler get with you on that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Any other questions for me? Are you guys all ready for Friday?
Yeah, we're all good.
You're all good. All right. Well, sounds good. I think the next one of these is going to be on Monday. I think we do a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I don't know who's doing the Monday one, but they'll definitely send out an email and let you guys know what time and everything. But I guess if there's no more questions, we can go ahead and
Hold up, Amanda.
yeah.
When they do these, like, say for today, can I do this like through my phone?
Yeah, you just have to click on the link and you should, I don't know if you need the Zoom like app on your phone. You may need to. So if you want to like give it a shot with this last link and try clicking it from your phone to see if it'll let you, you know, go anywhere. It might take you to the App Store to download the app before you're able to use it, but you can do
Okay.
it from your phone. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. In case I'm at work or something.
Right.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Kevin, did you have anything else? I see you mute and unmute.
Oh no, that's basically it. I'm still trying to get this virtual assistant thing down, so I would go check on the core studies that you said.
Okay. Yeah. And then if you guys have any questions, like I said, we do these videos really often, and even if it's not something like related exactly to that day, someone can always pass along a message to me if they don't know the answer or something like that, and we can get it to you. So.
I have a quick question that just popped in my mind. For the virtual assistants, like I only have like one that's full time. The rest of them are like two. The other two are part time. Do you think it would be better or more efficient to have another that's full time versus splitting the time and tasks and all that kind of stuff? Like, what do you recommend on that?
It really depends on a couple of things. So the two part-time that you have, do you really like them? Or are they just like, you could take it or leave it?
Yeah, I mean, I could take it or leave it.
Okay. So if you wanted to, and it depends on what they're doing. So that's the second part. So if they're doing,
that's the thing, they're doing two different things. So I was thinking about having one and combining it, but I know I'm going to have to retrain.
What are they doing?
So one is doing doing the reaching out of the SMS texting stuff for acquisitions, and he's pretty good at making offers. And then the other one, I'm currently training her for the transaction coordinator.
Okay,
role.
So I think those could totally be, one job position. So acquisitions easily goes right into the transaction coordination part as soon as you have that signed contract.
Right.
That's pretty much what I do. I do all the acquisitions, and then I also do the transaction coordination. And I actually like it better that way because as acquisitions, I can, follow the deal all the way through and see what's closing and give updates and that sort of thing. Whereas if it was two different positions, it can still be done. It would just be a lot more communication between the two. So it's not a bad idea to combine those. Why I asked if you, like the two virtual assistants that you're working with now is because sometimes virtual assistants, like good virtual assistants, can be hard to find. And so if the only reason you're thinking about it is just because they're part-time, but there's really, no reason to get rid of them other than that, maybe if you think like you said, the one guy that's doing the offers and stuff is really good. If you like him, maybe just test it out, and you could go ahead and let the other one go. Or find a totally new virtual assistant. But if you wanted to just ease into it before you do anything drastic, you could always have the guy kind of follow the process on one deal all the way through. So after he gets it under contract, have him go ahead and start doing the transaction coordination, have him send it to your title company and get that going. And you'd probably be surprised at how easy he's able to do that. And I think it could definitely be, a one position type role instead of having two people do it. So you might get away with actually just paying the one, and it might not even be as expensive as paying the two. So
gotcha.
Yeah, that might be a smart thing to do. I would maybe just test it out if you're a little nervous about letting one of them go first, but I think it could work out.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, anything else?
Thanks, Amanda. I gotta go.
All right, see you, Megan. All right, bye, everyone.
All right.
Thanks.
Have a good weekend.
You also.
You too.